What's up, everybody? You guys have made it to another very late edition of Just in the Nick of Crime, where we're talking about the Diddy trial as we enter yet another week, but we can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we have some updates in regard to that. Now, if you are coming in on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube, of course, make sure to hit that follow button, subscribe, notifications are on so you don't miss any of these. If you are my friends on TikTok, please tap that screen, get it to 10,000, and what else? Yeah, follow too if you're there, if you are so inclined, follow as well. So we got some stuff to talk about today. Hey Dan, what's up? One of my favorite mods and stuff is here. Before we get into what happened today, there's a few things, housekeeping items, judiciary things that we have to talk about. And a very famous celebrity responded to something when I see what Angela just said. There's this late, guys. It's okay. We're going to be a little bit more chill about it. Anyways, a very famous celebrity responded to something that was said about him last week, and I am referring to none other than Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, arguably. So, for those of you who are like, why the hell is he talking about Michael Jordan? Let me kind of just give you guys a quick recap. If you all may or may not remember, last week we learned that apparently one of Diddy's role play scenarios was that he was Michael Jordan and his girlfriend was Kobe Bryant at the time, whatever. I think it was Jane. Was Kobe Bryant, and the escort was Shaq. All right. And if you were here last week when I was talking about this, one thing that you may remember me saying is that if you are old enough like me to remember watching the movie, Scary Movie, Jerry asks, what is my name, Justin or Nick? Which is it? It is Justin. It is Justin. It gets confusing all the time. It's okay, though. I'll answer to both. But I go back to Scary Movie where you had that one scene where he was like, maybe it wasn't the Wayans brother. Maybe it was, what's his name from Scrubs? I can't remember. Doesn't matter. That he was like pretending his girlfriend was like one of the football players on the team and like fantasizing about that. That's what my mind goes to. So anyways, it was a weird thing that came up, bro. So that was what Diddy apparently once asked Jane to act out. So that is real. That came out under oath during cross-examination, and Michael Jordan has heard about this. Michael Jordan has heard about this, and he has responded to this. Now, just so y'all know, Jordan is currently vacationing with his family in Sardinia, Italy, puffing cigars, relaxing on his $115 million yacht, and was doing anything but thinking about being name dropped in a federal trafficking trial. But then he gets interrupted. Okay. Apparently, Michael was taken aback when he heard that his name came up during the Diddy trial during Jane's testimony. Said, quote, Michael was made aware of what Diddy may or may not have gotten himself into with role playing as Michael himself. Michael is not going to play with any of that. He is steering clear because he thinks it's weird, and that's putting it lightly. The source that kind of gave this information doubled down, saying that Michael Jordan wants no part of this circus. He's not going to let it ruin his vacation, and he's not going to entertain Diddy's alleged fantasy. He's happy and looking to forget about the revelation just as soon as he was made aware of it. He doesn't want to be linked with weird stuff with Diddy or with anyone else. Weird stuff Diddy or anyone else does. His team has not issued a formal statement, but make no mistake, apparently he is pissed about it. So again, real quick recap. Jane testified that Diddy would create these elaborate role plays, often using NBA nicknames. In one, Diddy called himself Jordan. Jane was Kobe, and the male escort was Shaq. The room was a hotel. The tone voyeurism. The purpose was, of course, a freak off. And Michael Jordan, the greatest to ever play the game, is now associated with that circus thanks to Diddy's alleged fantasy. Now, let's be clear. Jordan is worth an estimated $3.6 billion. Travels by private jet with a $500,000 elephant print paint job, and is about to join NBC's new NBA coverage this fall. This man is gearing up to return to television, not headlines about a drug-fueled party. So that was Jordan's response with this whole situation. All right. Now, we came back to court this Monday morning. Things are moving fast. Prosecutor Maureen Comey, listen to this, guys, told court that on Friday that they had 5 witnesses left before they rest their case. They got through 2 of those today. Those included are 3 summary witnesses, 1 law enforcement agent, and another former assistant to Combs. Testimony resumed at around 9 a.m. Eastern time from the way it's moving, though the prosecution feels that they could rest as early as tomorrow. I doubt it, though, but Wednesday at the latest. The prosecution could be resting their case as of Wednesday. All right? Now, let's talk about this whole juror fiasco because there's been a lot of stuff around it. Last week, on Friday when I covered this, he had been dismissed, and then defense pushed back, and then the judge was reconsidering it. Now we have a complete answer, final answer on this. So, juror number 6 has now officially been dismissed. The judge made this decision this morning, about a week after this back and forth whether the jury lied to get on the case. The judge said he'd reviewed the transcripts, the responses, and the inconsistencies, and he believed the juror had been shading his answers to stay on the panel. Now, on Sunday, just so you know, Diddy's team filed a last-minute warning to the court. If you dismiss the black juror, we are calling for a mistrial. If you dismiss the black juror, we are calling for a mistrial. On Monday morning, he was dismissed officially. In the filing, Diddy's team argued that removing the juror, who is one of the few black members of the panel, would gut the fairness of the trial. They claimed that dismissal wasn't about inconsistent answers. It was about silencing a black voice on the jury. They said that stripping that juror would send out a message that black voices are unfit, unreliable, and unwelcome in jury service, and they made it crystal clear. If your honor dismisses juror number 6, the defense will seek a mistrial. But despite all of that, this morning, Judge Subramanian dismissed juror 6 anyways. He said the juror gave inconsistent answers about where he lived and who he lived with, said it raised concerns about credibility and candor, and Diddy's lawyers pushed back hard, claiming that the juror's race was exactly why he was targeted for removal and that it echoed a deeper bias. But the judge wasn't having it. He told the court that Diddy isn't entitled to a boutique jury that mirrors his own identity. Now, juror number 6, just so y'all are aware, is a 41-year-old black man who said he loved 90s hip-hop and worked at a correctional facility, and he is now gone. He's been replaced by a very vastly different person, a 57-year-old white male from Westchester, a Mets fan, country music convert, and suburban dad. Very different than the juror he replaced. Diddy's defense team hasn't formally renewed the mistrial motion yet, but they've already laid the groundwork, and now that the judge ignored their warning, they're locked and loaded. So, basically, just so you guys know a little bit of background on this, juror 6 told the court he lived in the Bronx with his fiance and baby daughter, but last week during a special inquiry, he changed that, saying he'd recently moved in with them in New Jersey, but still stays at his aunt's place in the Bronx 4 or 5 nights a week. Judge Subramanian wasn't buying it. He said the conflicting statements about where the juror lived and who he lived with raised serious red flags, calling them a possible sign of deception or manipulation. He also pointed out that juror 6 had gone out of his way to tell the court that his license, his bills, his mail still went to a New York address, suggesting the juror might have intentionally framed his answers to stay eligible. Over the weekend, Diddy's attorneys again fought hard, saying that removing him would reduce the diversity in the jury. And again, talked about that basically accused the government by having this juror removed, by accusing the government of participating in a quote, coordinated effort to take down one of the most successful black men in American history. But again, Judge Subramanian didn't flinch. Going back to the comments, the judge shut it down, saying he was not going to base any decision on the race of the juror or the alternate. It would be improper to let race of the juror or the alternate juror factor into the proper course here. And then he made it clear Diddy is not entitled to a boutique jury that mirrors his race or background. Now, Diddy didn't seem rattled. According to the courtroom reports, he stretched his arms above his head as the judge spoke just like it was any other day. So that's what we got. Now, to give you a little bit more, again, we talked about the thing with him. The black juror, 41-year-old man, works in communications at a correctional facility, said he lived in the Bronx, but changed it to Missouri. He's a fan of 90s hip-hop and reggaeton, had a misdemeanor fraud conviction for insurance-related charges, and said he had heard the Diddy case, but didn't know much about it. The person replacing him is a 57-year-old white man from Westchester County. He is about as different from juror 6 as you can get. Manufacturing architect with a master's in mechanical engineering, lives with his wife and 2 kids, likes hiking and biking, a fan of the New York Mets, walked in this morning holding a David Sedaris book, says his kids recently got him into country music, and he told the court he heard about the allegations on the radio. So the jury just lost a black hip-hop fan with a minor past conviction and added a white suburban dad who reads David Sedaris and listens to country. That is a pretty major change, all right? But here's the thing. It doesn't stop there with the jurors, because now there is a potential issue with another juror unrelated to juror number 6. Apparently on Friday, one of the jurors received a mystery 6 from an unknown number asking, "Are you juror number 6?" The juror said they didn't recognize the number, but the judge is now worried about outside contact and whether someone may be talking about the case outside the courtroom. Submarinian said he'll question the juror privately at the end of the day, which was today. We haven't heard anything back, and made it clear that the issue is not connected to juror number 6. So that is all the housekeeping administrative stuff that we have to talk about. Thank you guys on TikTok for getting me to 14,000. Again, if you are coming in late on this, on any platform, this is saved on the Sean Diddy Comes playlist on my YouTube. You can go back and watch any of these recaps at any time or start them from the beginning there. So then, before we get into everything else, I didn't know where this fit in because it was just so random the way that they worked this into the news updates today, but I'll just go ahead and say this at the front end and then we'll get into the other stuff. But apparently today, for the very first time since this trial started, the jury was shown actual videos of the freak-offs of sex videos. That's what they were shown for the first time in this entire trial. The 3 separate videos were recorded in October of 2012, October of 2014, and December of 2014. Altogether, the videos ran for just over 2 minutes, short but enough to deliver serious weight. And make no mistake, these were not vague or censored. They were explicit videos of the alleged acts. Everyone, jurors, the judge, the witness, both parties, wore headphones during the playback. Here's the key, though. The lawyers were not allowed to view the monitors. Why? Because the screens facing counsel tables are visible to the public gallery, and this material is far too graphic for public display. So to avoid leaking it to the press or spectators, only the jury and the bench could actually see what was being played. Most jurors during this sat completely expressionless as the clips played out. 2 reactions stood out. One female juror put her hand over her eye, just like she did when the audio was played earlier in the trial, and another juror visibly winced, a clear instinctive reaction to whatever was going on that screen. Even with just a couple minutes of footage, the mood in that room shifted, and you could feel it. The videos were the real thing, guys, the real thing. The moments that had up until that point had only been described in testimony or only heard in audio, but now they were being seen in full motion. This is a turning point because now the jury has not only heard about what happened, they've seen it, at least part of it. Then we kick off week 6 with a new witness on the stand. The prosecution came out the gate with a minor witness, one who helps them connect the dots for the jury. Her name is Ananya Sankar, a paralegal specialist for the U.S. Attorney Office in the Southern District of New York. She's what's called a summary witness, someone used by prosecutors to introduce and explain summary charts that help visualize the evidence. These charts pull together text, calls, images, videos, audio clips, and put them in a format that the jury can actually digest. Sankar told the court that she reviewed hundreds and hundreds of pages of material, everything from the call logs to media files, and confirmed the accuracy of what's being shown, which is a key job, especially in a trial with this much digital evidence. She also confirmed that the text messages that she reviewed came from a cell phone, one that was seized and searched as part of the case. This isn't the testimony right here that grabs headlines, though, but it is what helps organize the chaos to make sure the jury can follow the story prosecutors are building. And it also kind of lays out what they're going for as far as the charges and connecting those dots to those charges, right? So after Sankar, who we're going to talk a little bit more about in a second, U.S. Special Agent Delisa Pinland, she's testifying specifically about the 2016 hotel assault on Cassie in L.A. She's expected to walk the jury through digital evidence related to that incident. And then later today, they were hoping the jury would hear from Brendan Paul, a former Diddy assistant who prosecutors say also acted as his personal substance runner. His name has come up multiple times in testimony already, and now we'll finally get to hear from him directly. But spoiler alert, that didn't happen today, so that will likely be tomorrow. So now on Monday, the jury was shown multiple text message exchanges that showed Diddy's employees appearing to prepare all the requirements for the freak-offs. This is important. In one conversation from March of 16, Diddy and his chief of staff, Christina Karam, discussed preparations. I don't think that Christina Karam, just so you know, I'm going to say this right now, based on the fact that prosecution is close to resting, yes, defense is going to be able to call their own witnesses. At this point, I don't believe, unless something changes, I don't believe that Christina Karam, KK, is going to be testifying. I don't. Initially, I thought I could see that she could be, but now that we're getting toward the end of it, I'm thinking less and less that she will. Karam and another assistant also discussed getting $4,000 in cash to a hotel room, saying, quote, heads up, he's probably about to do the Wild King night. Well, he's probably about to do the Wild King tonight. Karam texted one of Diddy's assistants. The assistant replied, shit, need to re-up on baby oil and shit. That's what they said. Now, that being said, getting back to Anna Sankar, she's there to read and verify summary charts. And she brought new context into Diddy's circle. She's there to read today. What she read today I cannot talk today. What she read today connected directly to prior witness testimony and brought new context to Diddy's inner circle. She read one text exchange between KK and Combs, between KK Combs and Ryan Lopez, who was one of his assistants, and the date on this was December 29th, 2019. Lopez wrote, LOL, I think I saw one of the cowboys today. You can spot him in the lobby, like an escort. I forgot to tell you about it. Firm responded with 4 laughing face emojis and followed with, by the way, how long is he going to stay awake? Lopez replied, I'm guessing until tomorrow night. The term cowboy sounds familiar. It should, because 2 of Combs' ex-girlfriends, Cassie and Jane, testified that Diddy used a service called Cowboys and Angels to find male escorts for what he called freak-offs or hotel nights or Wild King nights, apparently, which you all know are the hotel-based events where a woman was expected to perform with a male entertainer / escort while Diddy watched or participated. The jury also saw messages where Combs and his staff discussed buying substances from a dealer named Guido. In one thread, KK and Diddy texted about a package Guido dropped off. Coram confirmed she took care of it and that she was booking a hotel room for Combs. In another group, Fahim Mohammed, who's Combs' head of security, Combs' accountant, and Karam discussed paying Guido thousands of dollars. One of the texts referenced flour, which the court has established as a code for the green leafy stuff that you can smoke or take as an edible. Real quick, before I go further on this, I just want to kind of, this is the stuff that connects to Rico, guys. You have a lot of text messages of his staff, his head of security, his accountants paying for these illegal substances or these illegal activities. People who work for him getting this set up. All of them knowing about this, right? All of them knowing about this. And so this is what connects Bad Boy Records to all of this. Then came the direct hit of the day. The jury saw a text message where KK asked Combs what Fahim needed to bring on a flight to Miami. Combs replied, very easy, Molly, 15 pills. That was November 24th, 2022. Then he followed up by telling her to not text about it. And it didn't stop there. In April 23, Fahim Mohammed messaged Combs, KK, and Combs' account manager, just gave $5K to Brendan for the hotel. That's Brendan Paul, who's expected to testify tomorrow, and who multiple witnesses have already named as Combs' personal substance carrier. Now, before the witness stepped down, the jury also reheard a taped phone call between Diddy and his ex-girlfriend, Jane, a call that they originally heard during the testimony last week. And that call, Jane tells Diddy that the allegation in Cassie's lawsuit have been word for word her own experience. It's chilling. It confirms what prosecutors have been building for weeks. This wasn't a one-time situation. It was a pattern. It was a system. So I got my own note. Again, I was putting this together quick, so my notes. So that was, I'm not supposed to have that till a little bit later. Sorry. So ignore, you can know it's there, but there's still more. After jury saw the text of Diddy ordering substances, coordinating hotel setups, and managing escorts, the prosecution kept building the case, showing Diddy's inner circle wasn't just aware of what was going on, that they were actively managing it. People who worked for him were managing it. Prosecutors even introduced even more texts that were read aloud by Ananya Sakar, the paralegal. They weren't vague, they were direct, and they put Diddy's chief of staff, Christina Crum, right in the middle of it. In 2023, KK texted Diddy to make sure his team, quote, didn't do anything dumb, end quote, specifically not stopping the $10,000 a month rent payments for Jane's LA home. Jane's already testified that the rent was leveraged, that knowing Diddy paid for it made her feel like she had to keep doing the freak-offs or risk being homeless with her child. The same rent Diddy's chief of staff told him to keep covering just to protect the operation. In another message, KK texted one of Diddy's assistants asking how hard her boss was partying. She wrote Wild King mode active or Gucci bag active. Wild King being code for freak-off and Gucci bag referring to Diddy's substance pouch, the one filled with ketamine, MDMA, and the white sniffy powder stuff. According to multiple witnesses, that was what I meant, according to what multiple witnesses say, that's what those things mean. That's what the code is. The assistant answered, in between the two. That's tracking exactly what's going on. You, as a staff member, you know what's going on. You know that this is an illicit activity, and you know what's going on. That's now, again, coordinating it to that organization, to Bad Boy Records, to his businesses. Then the jury saw text from November 14th, 2021 between Diddy and KK. He asked, is the room ready? And said he didn't want the hotel knowing it was him to avoid, quote, unneeded charges. Because if you remember right, we learned earlier, the hotels that he frequented, when they knew it was him, would already go ahead and up the charges because they knew that he would destroy the room. KK replied that he should wait until Jane and Joey arrived first. Joey was identified by former assistant Jonathan Perez as another of Combs' employees. After Diddy entered the room, KK texted, hotel called, Paul coming up. Jane previously tested that Paul regularly joined them for hotel nights, a pattern that mirrored what Cassie described, again, as freak-offs, and Jane described as, again, hotel nights. Another exchange, staff joked about stocking baby oil, paying hotel damage fees, and getting cash ready in advance. KK texted Jane, your damage charges on the one hotel are always high. Jane asked if Karim could bring $5,000 to $10,000 in cash. Karim texted Combs. Or KK texted Combs. Jane asked if you could bring $5 to $10K in cash. It's all in your safe. Then the jury also was shown texts from January 2013 when Diddy messaged Cassie. Want to celebrate Christmas and have a freak off tomorrow or Friday? Cassie coordinated with an escort services. And personally, I'm getting TikTok's giving me the little restriction things. Coordinated with an escort service and personally managed multiple escorts to stagger their arrivals on January 11th and 12th. She later testified that arranging freak-offs became her primary responsibility in the relationship. Then came the text from May of 17 when Cassie messaged KK after another violent altercation with Diddy, saying, quote, no, but you should talk to him. No one deserves being dragged by their hair. I locked the door for my safety. She said Diddy had taken her belongings and left her with no money. KK responded that she would talk to Combs and try to help recover her things. A year later, Cassie sent another message. I can't do the violent scar, kick me out of my own house stuff anymore. I just can't anymore. KK replied, stay focused. It's not worth derailing. That much I know. But the day didn't end there, guys. The jury also saw photos of messages recovered from KK's device that showed Jane confronting Combs just days after Cassie filed her lawsuits. One of the texts read, I was confused and couldn't concentrate for 3 years and felt extremely exploited, heartbroken, manipulated by you. Another, you exploited the fuck out of me. You win. 3 years of being used, and you had 3 years of fun with my body. Just hours later, Jane texted KK. He threatened me about my S tapes, and he has one of me on 2 phones. He said he would expose me and send them to my child's father. That's more than emotional fallout, y'all. That is blackmail. Blackmail. The jury was then shown text message between KK and Brendan Paul, the longtime substance mule, right? In one message, Paul texts KK. We have a lot of text messages. And here's the thing. I like the fact that we're getting a lot of text messages with this because it really shows some of these actual conversations and the way that they're going. Okay. He said, form reply. Okay. So in one message, Paul texts KK saying he's escorting Combs to Jane's house. KK replies, you might need king stuff potentially. That's code, as we've already heard in this trial. King nights were Diddy's term for the nights, for the hotel nights or free offs. He called them king nights. Which is described, witnesses have described them as controlled environments where everything was set up by staff. Later, Paul texts her, he's just going with the flow. KK replies, LOL. Okay, so basically he's lit. Paul responds, LOL, isn't lit? And then things got even more revealing. Paul texts, PD active now, running to Walmart now. And King, again, guys, Wild King mode or Gucci bag active. In between the two, if that makes sense. And that's the second time that phrase has come up. Wild King versus Gucci bag. The freak off versus the substance pouch. Either way, both modes mean that staff knew exactly what was happening and that they helped make it happen. These, even though they might not be the headlining witnesses, they are absolutely big things. Okay. Especially for the prosecution. The jury also reviewed messages between Combs and his former security guard, Damian Butler, also known as D-Rock, and a former assistant named Mia, who, as we know, testified earlier in this trial that Combs SA'd her on multiple occasions between 2009 and 2017. The texts were debated November 19, 2023, just 3 days after Cassie filed her lawsuit, okay, which we just talked about that. D-Rock messaged Diddy, need to hear your voice, bro, love you. Combs responded, thank you for checking on me, really appreciate you, love you. It's a quick exchange, but it shows that even as these allegations were surfacing publicly, Combs had a loyal inner circle that were still reaching out to him behind the scenes. And just a reminder, Cassie's lawsuit was filed November 16th, 2023, and settled just 24 hours later. Okay. Most of y'all know that, but just in case. After Cassie filed her lawsuit in November of 23, accusing Diddy of R and physical abuse, Diddy's inner circle immediately started moving, and the jury saw exactly how it unfolded. Okay. This wasn't just damage control, guys. This was a direct outreach to a woman who would later take the stand under a pseudonym, testifying that Diddy SA'd her multiple times between 2009 and 2017. As we all know, that is Mia. And starting in late November, Diddy wanted to speak to her. It started on Thanksgiving Day, just a week after the lawsuit made headlines. D-Rock texted Combs, "Happy Thanksgiving. I feel I need to see you and chill with you for a couple of days. If you need a real friend, I'm here." Combs responded, "Love you, calling you." A few days later, D-Rock confirmed he'll be seeing D-Rock confirmed he would be seeing Diddy the next day. Then came the outreach. On November 30th, D-Rock texted Mia for the first time. This is November 30th, 2023. Texted her for the first time since 2021. "What's up?" he wrote. When she responded, D-Rock replied, "A lot has been going on." He testified that same day she spoke. The two spoke by phone, and D-Rock brought up Diddy's relationship with Cassie. Records confirmed D-Rock also sent Mia's phone number directly to Combs, who then tried to call her. Then on December 5th, 2023, 5 days later, D-Rock texted Mia again. "Your boy said to call him. He doesn't want or need you to do anything. He just called me. He wasn't done." Then on February 2nd, 2024, D-Rock messaged Mia again. "Good morning. How are you doing? Did you ever speak to P? He called me a couple days ago." By now, prosecutors showed that Diddy and D-Rock were in regular contact, both trying to reach Mia, who had already accused Combs of assault but hadn't gone public yet. Mia told D-Rock she was out of the country on a scuba diving trip. When D-Rock offered to send her money, she told him, my debt is my problem. I'll figure it out one day." But D-Rock didn't stop. On February 4th, he texted Combs, "Hey, bro, she hit me back. I'm trying to call her now." He even sent Combs a screenshot of Mia's reply. Combs answered, "Let me know when you reach her." And this sounds like mafia shit, guys. I'm just saying. Nevertheless, let's keep going. February 7th, 2024. Diddy finally texted Mia directly. "Hey, Mia, it's Puff. Let me know when you got 10 minutes to talk. Love." Later that day, he followed up with a longer message. "Hey, I don't want to be blowing up your phone. I just need to talk to you for 10 minutes. Just need my memory jogged on some things. You were my right hand for years. So I just wanted to speak to you to remember who was even around me. It would be good to hear your voice. But if you don't want to, all good. Just let me know. Love. Hope you're well." That same message, Combs sent it again, that time to D-Rock with a note. "This is what I sent her. I've been trying to reach her. She ain't picking up the phone." D-Rock then called Mia twice that day. And guys, this was not a one-time text, right? It was a calculated multi-week campaign, starting with Cassie's lawsuit and escalating fast from D-Rock's friendly text to Combs calling to Diddy himself asking Mia to help jog his memory. She had already told the court what happened, and now the jury sees that Diddy wanted her back in reach, or at least back under some semblance of control. Then, after prosecutors wrapped their chart presentation, it was the defense's turn. Tinny Garagos, one of Diddy's attorneys, stepped up to the cross-exam Ananya Sankar. Again, that's the paralegal that's been on the stand from the U.S. Attorney's Office. And while Sankar wasn't the star of the show, the messages confirmed under oath today that they were all about a much bigger picture, how he communicated, how his staff responded, and what those texts really meant, and what they actually knew. What they actually knew. Garagos kicked off things by reading one of the most widely circulated texts from the case, Diddy's February 7th, 2024 one, the one that we just talked about. "Hey, I don't mean to be blowing up your phone. Just want to talk to you for 10 minutes. That one. Garagos then had Sankar confirm that after that message, D-Rock told Combs Mia's number was ringing like she was out of the country. Then there's no record of Diddy ever calling her again after that. Garagos then pivoted to Jane, pointing the jury to a message she sent around Valentine's Day where she told KK, "I'm excited to surprise him." Jane also sent photos of a hotel room decorated with rose petals and heart-shaped balloons. It's important because Jane previously testified that this same Valentine's Day was tied to a hotel night. So that was kind of, but we've talked about this. The defense is using this to suggest affection, not coercion. But we've talked about this. But we've already heard Jane say that the setups made her feel pressured and transactional, especially when her housing was tied to him. Next, the defense showed a February 25th, 2023 exchange between Jane and KK. KK asking Jane to call her, saying Combs was pushing for plans. Jane's reply was short and clear. My answer to him is no, and is still no. Carm responded, got it. I'll let him know. Keep me posted if anything changes. Geragos uses to show that Diddy could say no, but again, the context from her testimony that saying no often came with consequences, even if subtle. Geragos also showed the jury messages from Fahim Muhammad. Again, that's Combs' head of security, where he asked for approval to disperse funds for PD Personal, Puff Daddy Personal. Basically Diddy's personal expenses. Fahim had messaged Combs, Quorum, RKK, and the accountant to handle it. Last week, another former citizen said he used his company card for personal purchases for Combs, but didn't know whether those charges were paid off by Diddy personally or through the businesses. Again, this is the implication here, is that the defense is trying to frame it as accounting details, not criminal behavior. That's what they're trying to do. I think that they're kind of going out on a limb on that one, because I think that really the prosecution is doing a much better job proving their case with Rico on this than they're showing that it was less than, But one of the biggest gut punches came not from the government, but from Diddy's own chief of staff. In November of 23, right after Cassie's lawsuit hit, KK texted Combs, if you cannot be honest with me, this doesn't work. We all know what your kryptonite is. That downstairs felt like a lie. Diddy replied, come take my phone. Quorum answered, it's not about your phone. That will break me. I feel like we're about to live this shit all over again. Those are his own people, guys, not law enforcement, not plaintiffs. His own people telling him that they don't trust what he's saying and telling him that it feels like a cycle. Right? Not people from his personal life, his people who he's supposed to be honest with, that are doing all of this for him. Now, after all that, Sankar's off the stand. She connected the dots, every text, every timestamp, every chart confirming that Diddy's empire ran direct communication and total control. The prosecution laid that map, and the defense is trying to do their best to try to redraw it. Sorry. Then, after she's off, they call in another summary witness, Special Agent Delisa Pinland. Her job? Verify records, walk the jury through timelines, and connect the receipts. And what the jury saw with Pinland was a clear, documented pattern of parties, paid escorts, hotel bookings, and flights, all funded and coordinated through Diddy's empire. Pinland started by breaking down travel records, flight logs, and hotel invoices for a December 2009 meeting between Diddy, Cassie, and an escort named Jules. The destination was the London Hotel in New York City. Records showed flights booked through Combs' personal finance director, the itinerary sent from Diddy's executive office, hotel and flight costs covered using Combs' Amex, confirmation that Cassie and Jules were in New York City at the same time. Ventura had already testified that Jules was part of multiple freak-offs. Now the paper trail was confirming it. But here's what we're saying, guys. Flights confirmed through the finance director from Diddy's executive office sending this. Again, this is all of that stuff that's helping the prosecution be like, this is RICO. This is racketeering. And they're getting to it. You had to lay the groundwork, and now the bricks are going up. The walls are going up. Right? Then she took the jury through October of 2012. A travel invoice sent to Bad Boy Entertainment showed a flight booked for Cassie from LA to NYC. On October 13th, Diddy texted her, you ready for tonight? Cassie, yes, but I need to grab something. Diddy, man, you had all day. It's always something. Then came the setup. Cassie texted 2 male escorts, giving them time and room number. The hotel room reserved under Janet Clark and paid in cash. The second room reserved under Frank Black, which was also paid in part with Amex. Several explicit videos from that same night, October 14th, were later recovered from Cassie's devices, and the jury watched them. The public didn't. Jurors then saw the infamous January 2013 text where Combs messaged Cassie, want to celebrate Christmas and have a freak off tomorrow or Friday. Cassie coordinated everything, texting the escort service, personally messaging multiple male escorts to arrange the staged events or staggered arrivals on January 11th and 12th. One escort texted back, hello, Star. Hope we can do another voyeur encounter again. Another added, I really want to do this again with you guys. Cassie responded, the one saying casual, yes, no oil, thanks. On October 21st, 2013, Cassie texted one man named Dave to meet her at a hotel room around 1 a.m. He replied the next morning, thanks, LOL. Just before 8 a.m., she texted second man, Daniel Phillip, asking him to wait a few more minutes. The next day, Cassie texted Diddy directly, you didn't film anything on your phone, right? He responded, no way. Penland then continued walking the jury through more flights, more invoices, more bookings, showing Diddy and how Diddy and his team coordinated every detail. Again, the flights purchased by Combs Global. Okay. That's trafficking under your business, by the way. Flying in escorts. That's trafficking, whether they were willing or not. Sex work's illegal in most places. But flights were purchased by Combs Global, hotels booked under fake name, escorts listed under alias, cash paid out, messages recovered from Cassie and Combs' devices, right? These aren't accusations and rumors, guys. These are flat out, these are receipts. These are receipts. And after a heavy day in court, the jury was dismissed. Agent Penland will be back on the stand tomorrow morning to continue the timeline. But before wrapping, defense attorney Tini Garagos asked the judge what had been said to the jury about the dismissal of juror 6. Judge said he'd look into it overnight and follow up in the morning. So that is where we have it, guys. Again, if you are new here, first time, whatever, please hit that follow button, subscribe. It is something free that you can do that helps my platform out tremendously. Doesn't cost you guys a thing, but means a lot to me. And again, if you came in late, anywhere you're watching this, YouTube, Insta, TikTok, Facebook, you can always go to the Sean Diddy Combs playlist on my YouTube. YouTube is the same name, Just in the Nick of Crime, and watch any of these recaps. Now, with all of that said, we will be back tomorrow with more of this. I am tired. I'm going to bed, and I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you all for joining so late, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Bye, guys.